This video is to explain how to use the expanding expression tool with students who are working on describing objects. So the expanding expression tool is one of my favorite tools for teaching kids to describe. It gives visual supports to help the students organize their thoughts. And what it essentially is each color represents a different description of an object. So the first thing I do when I work with my students is I teach them what these colors represent. So I'll teach you. Green is group, so you can say green group, and that means category. So what category is the object in? Then you have blue dew. Blue dew is the function of the object or what you can do with it. So what it does or what you do with it. What does it look like? That's its physical appearance, so its color or its shape or its size. Then you have what it's made of. So that's like, for instance, a spoon is made of metal. And then you have parts. So parts is what parts does the object have? So for instance, a bee has wings and legs and eyes. Then you go to where. Where is where you might find the object. So if you're talking about a bee, you would find a bee outside or in nature or in the sky. And then orange is what else do you know? So that's anything else you might know about a bee. Bees pollinate, bees buzz, anything else that you know about a bee that wasn't already said. So when I'm first teaching this skill, I'll explain what all the items are, and I usually only teach the first 3. So if your student's really struggling with answering labeling categories, labeling functions, labeling parts, this isn't a skill I would work on until they're able to do those things independently. So what I would work on with students who can do all of those things, if they can answer questions like, what category is it in? What function does it have? What does it look like? What is it made of? What parts does it have? Where can you find it? If your student can answer those questions consistently about most items, then I would target this skill. So for kids who are first learning how to describe, I use this board that has the choices on it, and I'll read it to them. Unless they're a reader, then they can read it to themselves. So I usually only do the first 3, the green group, the blue dew, and the white, what it looks like. So that's the little eyeball. So I'll read it and I'll say, okay, your item is a bee. And I usually let them choose which one they're working on, and that kind of motivates them to want to do the activity. So green group, okay, is a bee an insect or a bird? And then they'll circle. It's an insect. Then what does it do? Does it make milk or does it make honey? It makes honey, okay. What does it look like? Is it red and green or is it yellow and black? It's yellow and black. So once they can circle those, then I'll have them use the prompting sheet with a sentence starter. We call it a closed sentence. So then they have to look at their sheet that was circled and then use the sentence starter. It's a type of insect. It makes honey. It looks yellow and black. So this kind of prompts them to be able to build an entire sentence. If that's too easy, you can just kind of use this prompting sheet, which has the question on it, and then they have to build their own sentence. Or a level higher than that would be to either use this prompting sheet or to use this one. So this just gives you the color and you just point, and they have to know that green means group, and then they have to give you the category. So this is the highest level unless the child is doing the task independently. So again, to go over the first 3. If your student's capable of doing that with choices, move on to the last 3, what it's made of, its parts, and where. If your student can do this entire board independently, circling the choices, and being able to use the closed sentence, try it without the closed sentence. Just give a prompt. If that's too easy, move on to this sheet. If that's too easy, move on to this sheet. If it's still too easy, Then I would introduce this one. This is where they have to write in their answers and there are no choices anymore. And then you would go through the same hierarchy of the prompting. Use this one, then use this one, then use this one, then use this one. So this is an example of how EET works. So if I'm describing flowers, it's a type of plant. It can grow, it can bloom, it looks colorful, it looks big or small, it's made out of stem and petals. Sometimes the made out of part is also the pink parts section. Or you could say it's covered in buds, petals, leaves. It has, and then that would be the same. Petals, a stem, leaves. You can see it out in a garden, in a nursery, in somebody's yard, in the forest. And then you could say what else you know about it. There's many different kinds, daffodils, roses. This activity also comes with a writing component. So if you want to have your student talk about or describe something else, you can use the writing prompt sheets for any students that are writers. And there's also a little bug activity where they can describe and create a bug of their own with choices. So there's the bug worksheet. So you could see how this could create 6 or more sentences to describe. And it's a great way to provide structure when children are describing things. So have fun with it and message me with any questions.